Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech, and I can't believe it's already been over 2 months since the release of the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I've been using it over the past 2 months as my main phone, and I've switched between this and the iPhone Air to test them out for review. Now after using it, I thought we'd talk about things such as battery life, durability, the display, cameras, and much more. Now the first thing is battery life. Like I mentioned, I've been using it full time, and I've been using it on and off the betas, but if we go into our settings here, go up to battery health, you'll see I'm at 100% with 13 cycles currently. So not a ton of cycles, but I find that I don't have to charge this as often. I have switched between different color variants of the iPhone 17 Pro Max and tried it out with different things with different settings, different version numbers, and everything else. For example, yesterday I had 68% usage of my iPhone's battery and went through 4 hours and 32 minutes of screen active time, 4 hours and 30 minutes of screen idle time. So odd that I have the same screen idle time, but I've been talking to some others that have had similar issues with this. The previous day, screen active time was just 2 hours and 44 minutes with 50% usage. If we go back before that, it just depends on the day. Usually about 4 hours will get me 75% of my battery used. So that's typically what I'm seeing. Now on the iPhone Air, I was getting through 4 hours using over 100% of the battery. Now this isn't great overall. I am using the beta, but hopefully it improves over time as I continue to change the overall notifications, things like that seem to be using up power. However, Cameron and Connor sent in their battery and it's quite good. So you'll see on an iPhone 17 Pro Max, 7 hours and 48 minutes of screen active time, 1 hour and 53 minutes of screen idle time, using only 64% of the battery. This is more what I would expect from the overall battery. So again, this is due to my settings, testing out a lot of phones and things like that. Now, when it comes to the camera and overall video, well, of course, it's very, very good. This entire video is being recorded with the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and if we spin this around here, you can see it. This is being recorded on a tripod. I'm using an external microphone. However, I'm not sure if I'm going to use that microphone or use the microphone from the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So overall, this is an incredible camera. You can set it up, adjust it after the fact, and it does a great job. I typically use it for video, photos, and everything else. However, within the settings for camera, one thing I find I don't really use is log recording modes. I just try to make it as simple as possible, and I don't use ProRes because it takes up so much storage, and I don't find that it makes that much of a difference, especially if you're posting on YouTube. Now, if you want to use log recording in Genlock with multiple cameras and everything else, you can definitely do that. Apple does that for their events, and it seems like it works quite well. However, it's just not something I find usable for things such as YouTube videos. It's just not worth the overall extra hassle of it. So I don't find that it's worth my time, but generally just using it normally in H.265 works great. When it comes to the overall design of the iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max, many still don't like the overall design. Now, it's grown on quite a few people where they actually tell me they like it now that it's been released. It's sort of the normal thing to see now, and they have no issue with it. However, many people still find it ugly and don't like the overall camera plateau, the way it's aligned, things like the two-tone back, but I actually like the look of it. I don't think it's the best iPhone ever as far as the look, but it doesn't bother me at all. Of course, we have those very bold colors, and we don't have a black color this year, but the cosmic orange and the blue color, I find that I like the blue or the silver best. Some people really like the orange, but overall I find that it's very nice with having different options finally, but that does come at a cost. Because we don't have such vibrant colors on the previous phones, Apple made them out of titanium, and of course they were slightly more durable as far as the overall durability of the coatings, the frame, and everything else. So as I've mentioned in previous videos, I did have one of the iPhone 17 Pro Maxes fall off of a tripod when I was recording. So this was just leaned up on a tripod like this, and it fell off the tripod onto the ground. And I have that phone here. So if I lock this one, that's the orange one. Let me clean the display here. And you can see there's a nick in the display. So depending on the angle I hold it at, you may see it here. There's a little nick in the display up here. And that's just from hitting rocks directly at about 3 to 4 feet, so it actually held up quite well. However, the frame being an aluminum frame or aluminium, there is a nick in the frame. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's right here. It's very, very small, but overall is definitely there and something that will bother a lot of people. So the overall aluminum is softer, of course, than titanium or stainless steel, and of course results in more scratches or dings. Now, having said that, using it full time with this device, I don't have a single scratch on the display. There's not anything here other than maybe some dust on the display. We'll wipe it off here. Nothing here at all. And on the back, none of the sapphire lenses over the camera have scratched whatsoever. I set this down on tile, tables, such as maybe a quartz or marble countertop. I set it down on my desk, and that's about it. And then it goes into my pocket. So far, it's held up well. I don't have a single scratch on the frame, nothing on the bottom or sides or anything else. So overall, I think it's more durable than people let on. I've had no issues with it discoloring, and there's been some various reasons people think that it's discoloring, as people are maybe cleaning their orange iPhone with different wipes that contain alcohol that may cause issues. However, using isopropyl alcohol wipes is not really recommended, and you really want to clean it very gently using maybe an approved cleaner. So overall, again, I've had no issues, but we'll have to see over maybe a year or so how it wears and if it changes. Now, when it comes to the display, this is easily the best iPhone display out there. Thankfully, Apple put basically the same display on all the iPhones. However, when I switch from the iPhone Air to this, for some reason, this one seems more vibrant. There's some great advantages because we have that new cooling or vapor chamber in the back. You'll see I'm at full brightness for the entire video, and it hasn't overheated. The phone is not even warm, and it's really holding up well and will stay at this full brightness without any issue whatsoever. So that's one of the great things with this update of the iPhones. The vapor chamber along with the A19 Pro seem to work really well, and it stays at full brightness when you're outside with no issues whatsoever. And like I mentioned, it stays nice and cool, so the overall performance is really great. Now, the downsides are more on the software side, so there was some stutter from time to time, but ProMotion and things like that are super smooth, and the stutter is mostly not there, but it's more related to the OS rather than the overall experience of the phone and the processor. So using things such as Geekbench, I've shown some of the great scores we've gotten before. So if we go into the CPU benchmark and the history, we've been over 10,000 in the past, with 10,171. That's on the public release. On the betas, I've seen it a little bit lower, but this changes over time, and it's well within the margin of error. It performs incredibly well, plays games fine, stays nice and cool most of the time. Unless maybe you're in the hottest of temperatures, I would expect some issues, but even in 95-degree heat, it maintained the screen brightness without any issues or overheating. So definitely a much better solution, and I'm glad to see they finally acknowledged that the phones get too hot and throttle. It's much better in the 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. Now, as far as software longevity, well, we're on iOS 26, of course, to go along with the year, or next year rather, and I would expect iOS to probably be on this device for at least probably until iOS 31 or 33. We don't really have any dates set from Apple, but 5 to 7 years seems likely, so we'll have all of the latest updates. But of course, as we move forward in the future, they'll remove some updates as well from this device based on what it can do. So Apple Intelligence and Siri, for example, of course, still hasn't been updated at this time, and the new series is supposed to come out next March or so. But overall, it's on this device, but maybe in the future they'll have some new updates, of course, that won't be on this. But by that time, most people will upgrade. But if you want to use it for years to come, as long as you take care of it, it should hold up just well. Of course, like I mentioned, speed is great going into the camera. You're not going to miss anything. You can use camera control, go in quickly, and maybe you're on the lock screen, again, go in quickly, and you won't miss anything because everything's so fast and just really quick overall with the latest processor. This is an issue I have in bright sunlight where Face ID doesn't work from time to time. Let's try it one more time. There we go. And sometimes it doesn't work properly. Again, I think that's issues with the OS, and it's something Apple really needs to resolve. Their operating systems over the past few years have really gone downhill as far as overall stability and just feeling smooth compared to what they had before. For example, Mercury Weather here is nice and smooth. Going back and forth to the widget page occasionally has some hiccups, and that's just something that, unfortunately, we have to live with until Apple smooths it out. Now, of course, all operating systems are not perfect, but Apple was known for being the smoothest one out there, and this one is just not that currently. So hopefully it improves. Liquid glass looks nice. Some people don't like it, but they're giving more options, so they're definitely changing, listening a little bit. Of course, with iOS 26.2, so if we get rid of this, press and hold, we can adjust the overall liquid glass effect here, and maybe we'll see a slider throughout. Maybe it'll be available by the time you're watching this video. We don't know, but Apple is definitely listening to many of the comments about it and making options, which is something they never really did in the past. So if you're wondering if it's worth upgrading based on the pros and cons, well, I would say it depends which phone you have. If you're very happy with your iPhone 16 Pro Max, you love the titanium frame, you don't really want to see that go away, well, then definitely stick with that one for a little while. However, I wouldn't expect them to change to titanium with the iPhone 18 models. In fact, I would expect the opposite. They'll probably stick with aluminum for a few years at this point. However, it's very comfortable to hold. I think it's fine as far as durability, unless you're not very careful with it or you're in a very harsh environment. I think it will be fine for most people. Of course, I would recommend AppleCare at that point, as just replacing your display or something else is fairly reasonable with AppleCare. But let me know what you think of it in the comments below. If you've upgraded, is it your favorite phone ever? What do you think about the design, and how's battery life for you? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, I'll link this wallpaper in the description like I normally do, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.